Good evening. Welcome to PM Ghana here on Adwa Television. This is where Ghana speaks and Ghana listens. This is where we bridge the gap between the lawmakers and the populace. In the month of May, we're having conversations concerning labor, because it's Labor Month. And then the National Labour Commission is putting a series of media conversations where we have to understand what is in the labor laws of Ghana and then what you need to know as an employer, what you need to know as an employee. Last week, we looked at what the rights of an employer is and then the rights of an employee too. We also look at what the terms of contract or employment contract supposed to be, and then even went further to understand what some of the conditions of service are supposed to require, among other things. Today, we go further into the conditions of service, and then we are going to look at what the terms and conditions of employment is supposed to be, what you are entitled to in terms of leave, maternity leave, and whether we have paternity leave. This is where this conversation is very important. We're streaming live on Facebook at Adwa Television Ghana and also on YouTube at Adwa TV_GH. My name is Pepsival. And when I come back, today the guest is a twist. There's somebody new in the building. When we come, you see the person. Do stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back from the tender. Watching PM Ghana here on Adwa Television. And today, I have two fine ladies in the building. Good evening, ladies. How are we doing?
We are doing so well.
Okay, you?
We are good.
Since I'm familiar with you, I come to the one I don't know. Yeah, well, I'm yet to know. I have Mrs. Veronica Kumsin, who is a Principal Industrial Relations Officer with the National Labour Commission. Good evening, ma'am. Once again, how are you doing? Great. Awesome. Welcome to PM Ghana.
Thank you.
Oh, gosh. I love your dress anyways. I would borrow it and give it to my mom, hopefully. Oh, all right. I have an Assistant Public Relations Officer at the National Labour Commission, person of Miss Julia Fuauvi. Good one there. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
I love the red though. What's unique? You have a date tonight after the show.
I wish I did.
Anyway. So, well, let me come to you. But first, let's understand your work. You are a Principal Industrial Relations Officer in your unit under the National Labour Commission. What do you do?
What we do is that we settle industrial disputes mutually. So we term it facilitation. That is where when we start, we are not determining whether you are right or wrong. We have a conversation.
Okay.
So both parties come, we sit down with them, and then we talk to them. Sometimes we explain issues to them. At the end of the day, they themselves solve their disputes, and then we, the commission, we help them through the process. So that is what we do at the Principal Industrial Relations Office.
Okay, that's awesome. Tonight, we are going to look at the general conditions of employment, and we are looking at the terms and conditions of employment. This is where we start our conversation. Let me come to you, Julia, on what, let's draw the curtains first of all. We hear leave. Before we come to whether the person is entitled to it or not entitled to it, according to the labor laws of Ghana, what is leave? Between the employer and employee, when we talk of leave, how do we understand what leave is?
To put it in layman terms, leaves are more like holidays. They are periods that are given to you. They are your entitlement as a worker to go and relax to refreshing up your mind, so that when you come back, you can be more productive and more useful to the organization and yourself. So that is the whole purpose of leave, to give you the opportunity to go and rest and come back being rejuvenated.
So it's more like to recoup a bit and come back.
To recoup.
According to the laws, is it mandatory? Is it compulsory as an employee to go on an annual leave?
Yes, it is your right as a worker to go on annual leave. And let me make reference to Section 20 of the Labour Act. The Labour law talks about leave entitlement, which says that in any undertaking, every worker is entitled to not less than 15 working days with full pay in any calendar year of continuous service. So this how do I put it, clause is there to back your right as a worker, to give you the opportunity to go and rest, because it's very important. We don't want the workforce to get broken down at any, or get worn out at any stage in their working life. So the leave period is there to ensure that you have enough rest, to recuperate, to come back more motivated, more youthful, more energetic, to be able to enhance productivity.
So in essence, it's every worker is entitled to.
Yes, not less than 15 working days.
Not less than 15 working days. But in some organizations, some give 20 working days, and some give even up to 30 working days, I've heard in some institutions.
Yes. The law says minimum standard.
It's 15.
And the minimum standard is not less than 15 days. So it's either 15 and above.
Okay.
But not less than 15.
Thank you. Mrs. Veronica, in the event where my employer, for instance, let me cite Adwa TV, they don't really give me leave like that. So in the case if they are failing to grant leave, am I permitted to ask for it, to demand that I have to go on leave?
Of course you are permitted. Leave is a right. The Labour Act says you have right to leisure, right to rest period, you have right to holiday. And since it is your right, you have to claim it. Therefore, you have to go talk to your employers. Let them know that it is a right, so that you demand and they will give it to you.
And yeah, Mosempa. So if you are there, you are working, and then your employer is not giving you leave, according to the Labour Act, in fact, it's your entitlement. You can demand for it. But Mrs. Kumsi, in the event where the leave is being denied continuously over a period of year 1, year 2, year 3, and becomes very persistent, does the law give us any procedure or processes where a worker can get his or a leave granted?
Okay. First of all, you have to go through the grievance channels in the organization.
Internal
yes.
channels.
So you have to sit with management. After you have exhausted all the channels you have in the organization, then you have to go external. And that is where National Labour Commission comes in. You come and you lodge a complaint, and we will take you through our complaint procedure. So at the end of the day, if we go into the matter and we realize that, yes, your right has been infringed upon, we will give a directive so that we insist that the organization give you the leave and do the right thing. Because that is why we are there, to help both parties understand that nobody should infringe on anybody's right.
So far as leave is concerned.
Yes, and you have to claim it.
Ms. Julia, you know, we hear some things happening in some other organizations and people want to mirror it. Sometimes people say that they have accrued leave. Some say they have transferred leave. Maybe I didn't go on leave in 2024, and then I want to use the 2025 and go into it. Where does the law come in this? Is it permissible under the law, or it's specific with organizations?
So one thing about the law is that one is not allowed to say they do not want to go on leave. The employer cannot deny you a leave, and you, the worker, you cannot say you want to let go of the leave. Nonetheless, in terms of an enterprise can leave has to be requested and granted, and it's institution specific. You may want to go on leave, but then there may be an emergency or an urgent work available, which you may be denying the leave temporarily. However, after that emergency is done or executed, you must go on leave, and it must be granted. And in a year, maybe anytime you intend to go on leave, it's deferred. When it's deferred, it goes to the previous years because your supervisor or the employer has deferred the leave to the next year. That doesn't mean you've forgone your leave or anything.
Okay, but maybe it's under conditions. Maybe the timing you are going, there are things that needs to be done. So between you and your supervisor, there's a decision for the leave to be deferred, not to be denied.
Not to be denied. But if you, the worker, on your own, you refuse to go on leave, and then you enter the next year, it's automatically gone.
Wow. What if maybe the working condition does not, maybe I have a lot of things to do, then I envisage into it for the sake of, for instance, last Thursday we were saying that the employer is the one that is having the vision, the goal. So his employee has to help the employer to arrive at that vision of the organization. Then I am being a good staff. I want to help my organization progress. Hence, I decide not to go on a leave for a specific year. I cannot make demand for it in the following year.
No, you see, leave has to, as I stated earlier, it has to be requested and granted. If for whatever reason you decide on your own, it is on your own that you've decided not to go on leave. It is not that you were denied, you made a request and you were denied by the employer. So you have decided on your own, yes, you are working in the interest of the company, but under the, what do you call it, the duties of the worker as well, you have to work in the, under the duties of the worker, you work in the interest of the company. And as part of the duties of the employer, the employer also works in your interest as a worker. And it is in your interest that you have to go on leave to rest. So if you, the worker, decide on your own, you don't need it. You don't need to rest, relax, recuperate. That is on your own. Nobody has denied you your rights. You have decided to let go of your rights. So you can't carry it forward. Except you made a request and your employer denies you temporarily for the emergency to be over before you take your leave, or they defer it another period for you to take your leave.
Mrs. Kumsen, in the event where my supervisor or employer defers the leave, and maybe in the ensuing year, we get to a point where my immediate supervisor is changed. And then but that immediate supervisor says that it is a new year, so you're only entitled to this year's leave. Whatever that transpired between you and then the one I took over, I don't care about it. So I'm not going to grant that deferred leave that was given to you. Again, can we trigger an internal processes to redress such a situation?
First of all, in any organization, there are procedures. The law says that it is the employer who has to write to you so that you go on leave. If the employer writes to you, there is record. Whatever it is that made them not to allow you to go on leave is also on record. An organization should keep record. And therefore, we will always come back to the record. So everything that was said is on record. At the end of the day, nobody can say that you cannot go on leave. They cannot deny you just because there is new management. No. You can never be denied your leave.
Okay. In the instance where I'm going on leave,
yes,
and Ms. Julia was talking about emergency situations,
yes,
that, okay, maybe the employer will say, okay, we have an emergency. Maybe let's talk about it, then we wait. But I refuse as a staff to wait to get my leave to be deferred. Can the employer say that based on the fact that I am not agreeing to the deferment or a temporary halt of the leave, is then going to terminate my employment? Can the employer do that?
Because if I get you right, because you are insisting that you want to go on
the leave, yeah,
and the employer says no, you can't go on leave, and therefore the employer is terminating
my contract, yeah.
It is all a conversation because it is your right. So the employer has to explain to you the reason why you cannot go on leave. Then you have to buy in. So if the two of you agree, there is nothing like termination because both parties agreed. So they cannot terminate your appointment just because you said you will not go on leave. Two parties, you have to talk it through.
Okay. Miss Julia, remember that they say that the employer can come under the issue of redundancy when there's bankruptcy, among other things. I say that, okay. And I know for a fact that, okay, oh, how do we have money? It's not you are going on bankrupt. But because I refused to buy into the deferment, my employer is using the disguise of, we are getting to bankruptcy, so I don't need your services anymore, to terminate. So you get it. In the actual sense, he's going under his rights to use the bankruptcy to say that, oh, the work is no more. But I know that, oh, no, it's a lie. How do we redress such a thing? Where we factually, I know that, oh, well, we have money, he can pay me. But because I refuse a deferment of the leave, and he cannot outrightly say that he's terminating my appointment because of leave, he's going through the back door of a bankruptcy to sack me. How do we redress some of these issues?
Okay, so when your employment is terminated because you've requested to go on leave, one thing is, are you aggrieved about it? If you're aggrieved about it, then you must seek redress. And that is where the National Labour Commission will come in. You can report or lodge a complaint with the National Labour Commission to go into the matter and make a determination on it. Whether what you are claiming is actually what it is or not, and whether you're entitled to whatever reliefs you're seeking or not, then we make a determination on the matter. Yes.
Interesting. And I want to add up to it.
Yes, let me add that at the point of termination, if you have leave days, it will be converted to cash and it will be paid to you only at the point of termination. So, in as much as the organization is saying that they are going on bankruptcy or whatever it is, if you have leave days, you are supposed to be paid before you leave the organization. Even the year, even if it's not up to the year, even if it's not up to the year, it will be prorated for you. So as for leave, nobody can take it from you.
Interesting. As for your leave, no one can take the leave from you. We're still watching PM Ghana here, and then we are going to go on that turn. When we come back, we are going to look into that crucial matter of maternity leave. And people are saying that they want paternity leave. Whether you want omugu for the in-law to the one that has been giving birth. So you also want leave too. We'll determine it right after the break. Do stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Do you want the latest news on sport on the local scene, such as the Ghana Premier League, CAF Champions League, and Confederation matches? Want the latest in the world of boxing, athletics, cycling, para sports, tennis, and any of our national teams? Then tune in to Sports Center on Adwa TV this and every Wednesday and Friday at 6:45 p.m. to 7:45 p.m. Sports Center will also host resource person from sporting federations, sports athlete or personalities and stakeholders in the sporting fraternity to give clarifications, inform and educate viewers. Join Isaac Morty and Derek Nee Asai Ankara for your latest on trending sports issues and game predictions on Sports Center.
Welcome back from the 10. You're still watching PM Ghana here on Adwa Television, and I have Mrs. Veronica Kumsen, who is the Principal Industrial Relations Officer at the National Labour Commission. We have Ms. Julia Pauvi, who is also a Public Relations Assistant at the National Labour Commission. We are talking about the general conditions of employment. Now, we've made mention of, in the midst of the rift between the employer and employee when an issue of leave is concerned. Madam made mention of the fact that you have to first of all exhaust internal structures with the organization. In this instance where it fails, that's what the Labour Commission is there. Now, Adwa TV has failed to give me a leave. I've exhausted the internal structures, and then I'm not getting the results that I deserve, or the ruling is not fair as is expected. And I want to come to the Labour Commission to make a complaint. How do I go by it?
Okay. So when you come to the commission to make a complaint, you will be directed to the complaint unit, which you would come and then state your claim or state the brief of the matter. Now, what we expect is when you come, we expect you to be transparent. Transparent in the sense that sometimes people will come and then you ask them what is the purpose for coming, and then they'll tell you that I work with some company B. They don't want to even mention the name of the company. What we expect is for you to narrate the issue. Let us know where you worked, when you started working, how long you've been working there, what the issue is, what happened, what led to the situation you currently find yourself in, and what you want the commission to do for you. So by narrating that, we get to know that you are aggrieved about the situation. That is, if you are denied leave and then you narrate it accordingly, we are able to know that, okay, you are aggrieved about the situation, and then we facilitate the complaint filing process, in which we give you a complaint form to go and fill and submit. Now, this complaint form, we have copies at the complaint unit, and you can also get a copy from our website. When you go on our website, www.nlcghana.com, you get a copy of our complaint form to download and fill. Now, in filling the complaint form, I wish I had brought a copy here. It is so simple to fill, read and fill. Very easy to read and fill. It's self-explanatory. So what we do in our complaint form, we need to identify who the complainant is. So we have a portion, number 1B, where you will state your name and provide us with all your details. You provide us with an alternative contact details. In case we call you and we are unable to reach you, who should we call? You give us the person's details as well. You give us the respondent details. When I say respondent, I mean the person whom you are in dispute with. So if it's the company, you give us the company's details at the number 2 of our complaint form. Then number 3, we want to know the nature of the dispute. So you need to let us know what the nature of the dispute is. If it's unfair termination, unfair labor practice, whatever it is, we've given you options to select. If you think the issue is not part of the options, there is a place, a box or a section that says specify, which will let us know what the exact issue is. Then number 4 on our complaint form is the brief facts of the dispute. Now with this portion, you will not write it, you have to type. We normally call it petition. And in the petition, we want to know what the issue is. So you will begin with an introduction of yourself and what the issue is. That is, if you remember, I said you tell us who you are, where you work, when you started working. You narrate all of those things. Let us know what the issue is, what you think about it, and what you want the commission to do for you, all in that letter. So that when we are reading it, we can understand the issue. And mind you, any complaint you lodge, you will forward it to the respondent to respond to the allegation.
That is your employer.
Yes, and when they read, they must also understand what the issue is. Right, so that is why we expect you to narrate it from beginning to end. Do not leave portions out. I mean, if you leave portions, we don't understand, right? So you need to make sure we understand the whole complaint. Then if you have documents to show employment relationship, you attach it. And when I say document to show employment relationship, I mean either contract of employment, appointment letter, fixed term contract, whatever you have, you attach it to show employment relationship. and any other document to support your case. So you've established employment relationship, you've requested for leave, be it in writing or if it's you took a leave form, you filled it, it's been denied, you have evidence of it. As my madam stated earlier, there are always records. So you also have to keep your records. So when you are lodging a complaint, you attach those evidences to back your claim. You attach it to the complaint form. And then we also have a portion that talks about internal grievance procedures. If you remember, she mentioned that you must first begin with the internal processes before you start with the external. So we would ask you, have this complaint been taken through some internal grievance procedures? If yes, you explain. If no, you explain why, so that we know why it didn't go through any form of internal processes, or yes.
But instantly, if it doesn't go through internal, you recommend immediately that it goes back to go and start the process, or you go ahead to hear the petition.
We would hear the petition, but then if we find out that there are internal processes, the organization has well established internal processes, we would ask you to go back and start with the internal processes first before the external processes.
Madam, in your experience, something probably on leave where maybe the internal processes failed, and then the employee, the worker, comes to start this process, and then, like Ms. Julia said, the complainant's issue has to be given to a respondent, that is the employer, and then it goes to the employer. Upon receiving the notice, then the employer says that, oh, this one, don't worry about it, don't even worry yourself, I'm about granting the leave. Just more of like a change of mind and a change of heart. Have you experienced sort of in the processes?
Actually, it happens all the time. In fact, when you come, sometimes just picking up the complaint form and going through, part of your problem will be solved. Immediately we send a letter to the respondent. Sometimes he will sit you down, he will call you, and he will address the grievance. The grievance that he should have done before coming to the commission, he will address the grievance. So it is always good, if you have a problem, to come to the commission. Immediately you do that, the respondent will address. However, if the respondent does not, then we will take you through our process. When we will give the respondent 14 days
to respond.
So if the respondent does not address and decide to respond, after that we'll call the respondent to come to the commission. We invite both parties, and that is where I told you about facilitation. We will sit both parties down, we will go through, each party will state their case, they will state their reliefs. At the end of the day, sometimes we will let them know the portions of the law that we are talking about, and they themselves, they will have informed decision. So before coming, you will see that your position was different. But after you came and we told you all this, and you understand that, yes, the worker has to go on leave and all that, you change your position. So, okay, I will grant the worker leave. Both parties will then sign an agreement that, okay, he wants leave, I'm granting him the leave. And then they sign and they go and they continue the working relationship.
Well, I'm glad you're speaking about working relationship. No, July, last week we were talking about some of these are expatriate companies that we've opened in Ghana, and the quote unquote relationships that goes on with Ghanaian workers who are working for them. And some of these instances, some of them don't even grant the leaves, among other things. Sometimes even the internal processes are not there to even start with, for fear of victimization, scapegoating, among other things. And then the person comes to you but wants to file a complaint anonymously. Do you give room for some of these critical and sensitive cases too as well?
Anytime there is a complainant, there should be a respondent. So we don't want faceless complaints. You should be bold and come out.
Be bold.
Be bold. However, sometimes we do visits in organizations. So if we look at the trend and we realize that, oh, this particular organization has these issues, we go there, we organize them, and then we speak to them. In fact, when you come to the even if an employer comes to the commission just on one occasion, before you leave, you would have learned a lot of things. Because we will take you through the law, we will take you through the processes. So you have to come to the commission. You have to. And when you come to the commission, we will be able to let you know all these things. You cannot say that I am coming to the commission and then I will remain anonymous.
It's not
Because
possible.
whatever you will write, you will send a copy to the respondent to respond. So who are you litigating with? And so therefore you should be confident. If you want to litigate, you should be confident. However, we will do our best to make sure that the next time it will not happen again in the organization.
No, my late father always says that we are man some training party and there ma not all the time. Be chested so that you can train man son and you know that yes, you are the one training the man son.
Yeah, it's not man so tree, but you are insisting.
You're calling
on
for the right thing.
Yes.
Right. Mom, what then? Let's move to the issue concerning maternity leave. At what time exactly are women who get, by the grace of God, are pregnant, are able to go on maternity leave? At what point of the cycle does it start from?
Maternity leave itself maternity is a protected statute. When a woman is pregnant, the woman is protected because the woman is helping in procreation. And therefore, we have to protect the woman. So, when the woman is pregnant and the date is due, the date of confinement, you go to the doctor or the midwife. The midwife will give you the date. When the midwife gives you the date, you bring the date to whatever form the midwife gives you. You bring it to your organization. When you bring it to the organization, they will grant you at least 12 weeks leave. 12 weeks is at least. In organization, some of them have enhanced, so they give better weeks. But then, 12 weeks. If you have annual leave in addition, then the organization will grant you the annual leave.
Okay.
If during the pregnancy, when you went through the birth, it was abnormal, there was a surgery or something, you are granted 2 more weeks.
In addition to the 12 weeks.
The 12 weeks. If when you went through the birth, you had twins, 2 or more babies, you are also granted 2.
Look at the way I'm smiling. Okay.
So, as I said, a pregnant woman is protected. And because a pregnant woman is protected, you cannot assign duties to him in the night. Between the hours of 10 and 7, unless with the consent of a pregnant woman.
Okay, that's 10 p.m.
10
and
p.m.
7 a.m.
Yes.
All right. But that means you can assign them to duties after 8 p.m., 9 p.m.?
Even that one, the consent, is very, very important.
Okay.
The consent. The nursing mother is also given 1 hour when they come back from their leave. 1 hour to nurse the baby.
Okay. So 1 hour off structural hours.
Yes. Normally, that is why in most organizations, mothers close at 3. Because they are given 1 hour and then they will add their break period.
Okay.
So they will close early and they will go attend to the babies. Yes.
I get it. Now let's come back to the original 12 weeks. The 12 weeks, is it 12 weeks post-conception? Or it is divided? Because sometimes people tell you, okay, fine. If once the conception date is given, then you are almost due. Then they do 6 weeks into delivery, and then they do 6 weeks post delivery, and then they now come and take the annual leave. And then when the other 2 weeks conditionalities, if they are twins, if they are abnormalities, then they add it to that other 6. Or is that 12? So depending on how you want to take it, how do we take it?
It is 12, but it is advisable. In fact, it is post. Because you take the date of confinement, the date you give birth to the organization, and so they will calculate it starting from the date of giving birth, the date
Okay.
of confinement. So it's always post.
It's always post. Miss Julia,
Unless special circumstances, it's always,
always post. Okay. Miss Julia, now this is excuse like for myself. I'm the one working. I'm not the one pregnant, but maybe my woman is pregnant, and then her job is giving her or whatever the law is prescribing to do. But she goes through maybe unusual delivery, maybe CS or what have you, or maybe they're supposed to be twins and one died. You get it? The usual pain of childbirth is going, and then she's grieving at the same time. I, as a man, the Lord has not prescribed paternity leave, but can I come under the maternity leave to also take some 2 weeks to go and attend to my wife? Can I do that?
Paternity leave is not yet in the labor law. It is being advocated for currently, but every institution has a human face. Definitely, if your wife or whomever has put to bed, you would notify management on it, and then let them understand the situation. They will grant you some days, be it under compassionate leave or whatever forms of leave.
Compassionate leave.
There are a number of leaves, mostly within an institution. The annual leave, compassionate leave, among other things that one can always request for. So maybe it may be granted under any of the other types of leaves for you to go and then support your wife who has just put to bed. Yes. So like as I stated, every institution has a human face, and based on that human face, you may be granted paternity leave. Yeah.
Interesting.
But it's currently not in the
It's not in the
labor law.
system.
Yeah.
Ma'am, as an expert, what would be your recommendation to policymakers? Have we gotten to a time and age where we have to critically look at granting paternity leave?
Of course, this is the time. Because you see, when the woman goes through this proceeding, it is a difficult proceeding. The woman has to adapt to changes. There should be somebody to help in these changes. And who should it be better than the husband? The woman, the baby will be crying at that time. The woman's health will not be good at that time. So if the man is there to help through all these postpartum problems, I believe that it is very good. It is very good for the family unit. It brings bond to the family. The man himself, when the baby comes, the man is happy. So we give the man also the time so that he will enjoy all that with the family. So as for me, I advocate for it.
So when the goodies are coming, the man will see it.
Yes.
So the woman will not be the only person taking the goodies and be
then,
hiding it.
and then when it's Father's Day, we can celebrate.
Oh my
as
God! Oh,
present
Miss
dads.
Julia! Oh, anyways. Interesting. Now, I want to talk about abuse of maternity leave. You know, you made mention of human face, and then the care that is attached to maternity in general. And then we've experienced it in some institutions where the lady gives birth. She's given her 12 weeks that she's due per the law. They've given her an additional annual leave that is 15 days. And then out of the magnanimity of the supervisor says that, okay, take additional 3 weeks in addition to all of this. It's not that you gave birth in abnormal whatever, but you've enjoyed your 12 weeks, your annual leave, and then take additional 3 weeks. But this person goes and after the 3 weeks, adds maybe an additional, let's say, a week or two, that, oh, and then the child was not feeling well, so I just need more time without notice to the employer. What happens in some of these circumstances?
I believe it's not a good practice. Now, there should be a conversation. If the woman is having problems, you should be able to tell the supervisor, tell organization that this is the problem I'm having. Yes, women, we are protected, but we shouldn't take advantage of it. So you should be able to come back to work. If there are issues and it is it's your health, you have to go to the hospital for a certified doctor to give you an excuse duty, indicating that you are not well and that you cannot come at this time. Then they will understand. But you shouldn't take advantage of this.
Bam. Those are taking advantage of the thing.
Yes.
Be very, very careful. I know the person I'm talking about. Your name starts with A. Be very, 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 very careful. I know them, and we've seen them before. Yes, please, Julia.
And also, what happens is when you do that, sometimes the commission is an institution that protects both the rights and duties of the worker and employer. So it's not just employees or workers that report employees to the commission. Even employers report workers as well. So if you do that and then the employer is aggrieved about it, they also report. They also report you to the commission. And when they report you to the commission and then we go into the matter, it may go against you. So long as the employer has followed due processes and it goes against you if you stay home for a period that hasn't been approved. The employer can even based on that to terminate your appointment based on vacation, of course, or whatever it is. So it's in your benefit to resume after you've exhausted all your leave periods. If you need any more additional period to rest, that is where my madam said you can have a conversation with your management or your supervisor, and then it may be granted. But you just don't decide on your own to stay back and then not go to work, because it will be detrimental to you and your finances. Yes.
Now, before we come to the interruption of leave and then who the cost comes to, let's come back a bit to the types of leave. We've been exhausting annual leave and then maternity leave. But we've heard of sick leave, we've heard of vacation leave, compassionate leave, we've heard of bereavement leave in the street. But tell us, per the laws, which ones are expected or they are required or permissible?
So by law, those that are rights-based are the annual leave, the sick leave, the maternity leave. Those three. Other leave types are, like I earlier mentioned, human face. So in an event of whereby if there are unexpected events, you might have exhausted your annual leave, and then something emergency comes up, you need to go. How then do you go about it? That is why some specific leaves are being brought up to cover those circumstances, like the compassionate leave. You mentioned bereaved leave, and it depending on the institution, it can fall under compassionate leave. It's the same thing. Right. So you are granted leave based on the compassionate or bereaved. It's the same, one in the same. The holidays, as other institutions call it, is still the same as annual leave. It's the same, but depending on the organization, they might have different terms for it. Yes.
Now, there's one other thing that just struck me is where people say they are going on a long leave without pay, and then some say they are going on a steady leave. Normally, the steady leave and then the long leave, some people tie it together. Is it also organization based, or it's something to that our laws permit that I want to? Because we made mention of self-enhancement last week as part of the duties you're supposed to do, where the employer needs to ensure that the employees are up to date with modern trends of what the work environment is all like. And then the employee is now going to more of like a refresher course to upgrade him or herself out of the jurisdiction for a very long time. That leave, how do we put it?
As you stated, I think those type of leave are institution based. Sometimes they are in the collective agreement, they are negotiated for, or they are human resource policies or frameworks or manuals. So because of that, people when they are in those policies, you can request for it depending on what it is. And as you stated clearly, mostly they are tied to steady leave. You want to go abroad to enhance yourself, yes. If the institution is giving you that opportunity, they have asked you to go, they may put it under steady leave with pay. Or maybe you go in there, whatever certification, qualification, knowledge, skills that you acquire would be in lieu to the benefit of the company. They may grant you that leave, steady leave with pay. But if at the end of the day, maybe whatever you're going to study will in no way benefit the company, they may grant you the leave but without pay. And it's within their rights. Yes.
Madam, now let's move to the interruption of leave. I am going on my annual leave, and I'm covering also that it's just some 15 days I'm giving minimum. and then I am called by my boss to come back to post due to one or two things that needs my urgent attention. Who bears the cost? That is that if it is permissible, who bears the cost? If it is not permissible and it is happening, what do we do about it?
Okay. First of all, the leave itself, we should not interrupt. That is first of all, we should not. However, in emergency situations, because you have granted the leave already, so you don't need to call the person back. But however, in emergency situation, there is a situation in organization and you need that person's expertise, which means you can call the person back. However, you have to bear the cost. So the law says that the cost should be reasonable if you call the person back. Reasonable in the sense that I am in Accra, and because of my leave, I decided to travel to Kumasi.
To see family. Vacation.
And I'll be recalled. Now, my cost of transportation, I may not say that, yes, because it's the organization, I'm taking Uber from Kumasi to
Accra, or picking a flight.
Yes, under normal circumstances, you know that you have to take the bus, and therefore it should be reasonable. Now, if your leave is also interrupted, the leave will be given to you. Under no circumstance will the employer say that I am keeping this leave. At another appropriate time, the leave will be granted to you, and you will go on the leave. So, yes, leave can be interrupted due to circumstances, but the employer should bear the cost.
Thank you for this education, because from today, the things we'll be doing to some of our employers, or the demands we'll be making, it is all good for it, but it helps in this month of May, where you also need to understand what is entitled to you, what is due you as an employee. But I like what Ms. Julia said, that the commission does not only take complaints from only the employee, they take complaints also from the employer. So at the point where you are to rift with the employer, and then the employer is aggrieved, he also has every right to go and file a proper complaint against you at the Labor Commission. And then when it happens, find yourself that you be yourself finding wanted. You see that you made mention of sick leave. We have a penchant where if I have headache, I'll come and tell my HR that, oh, I want sick leave today, next week. I work in an organization. I was acting as HR for them. Every 2 weeks, I have somebody who is coming for sick leave. If it is not the stomach, it is the head. It is the last toe of the leg. So let us spell out the conditions that goes into sick leave. Is it extreme ailment that brings confinement? That is what a cause for sick leave, or it is the small ones I've made mention of. Like I have a colleague who, anytime she's in a time of the month, she wants to go for sick leave because of extreme cramp pains or what have you. What really goes into sick leave?
Okay. So with this, I would want to read from the Labor Act. So when you look at Section 24 of the Labor Act, it says that sick leave not part of annual leave. And it says that a period of absence from work allowed owing to sickness, which is certified by a medical practitioner, and which occurs after the commencement of and during annual leave shall be computed as part of the leave.
Okay.
Now, sick leave, you just don't wake up mostly to take sick leave. It must be certified by a medical practitioner. That is not to say that as humans, you don't wake up, you don't get up one morning and then you feel, oh, you are not well. There are instances you can wake up and from nowhere you just feel so sick. You can call.
So you
have to call your supervisor or whomever to let the person know that maybe you are not feeling too well, and they may grant you that permission to stay and relax. But when you talk about sick leave itself, it must be certified. So you must bring even if you call and you are claiming sickness, you must come and show evidence of it. Either you've gone to the hospital and you'll be given a medical report, or an excuse duty, which when you resume, you submit it to your supervisor or your employer to show certification that you've actually been to the hospital and you were certified that you were sick and therefore you needed that period to rest. If you don't do that, there are instances, and even at the commission, we've had instances whereby people have come to lodge complaint claiming they were sick, and so they took some time to rest. Now, the commission went into the matter and realized that indeed, maybe they were indeed sick, but there was no document to show.
To prove.
No excuse duty, no medical reports and whatever. And as a result of it, they either lost their jobs due to vacation of post or they were terminated, which goes against, it doesn't favor you, the worker. So as much as possible, when you're sick and you want to take a period, if it's not 1 day and you're taking a number of periods, make sure you go to the hospital and get some form of certification, be it a medical report or some evidence from the hospital, especially excuse duty, to submit back to your employer to show that indeed you were not feeling well and then you had to take this time off to treat yourself. Yeah.
Mrs. Kumse, you want to add up something?
Yes.
I come to my question.
To add that when you receive the sick leave, don't keep it. Some people will keep the sick leave, and then if they're giving them 3 days, after the 3 days, they will come and then they are not coming to present the sick leave. Immediately you are giving the sick leave, even if you are sick. Nowadays, we have so many modes of communication. So you should be able to tell your employer that this is my situation. So the employer will understand, so that at the time when you are coming back, you will bring the hard copy. Now, sick leave is also not part of your annual leave, because you have organizations that will tell you that because you brought so many sick leave, I have taken it out of your annual leave.
They do it.
So, annual leave has its purpose and sick leave has its purpose. Annual leave is for you to go and rest so that you'll be rejuvenated and come back and work well. Sick leave is because you were sick. So there are two different things, and employers should take note. When you are on annual leave and it happens that, let's say that you have 15 days leave, and on day 7 you fall sick, you went to the hospital and you were given sick leave, excuse duty, you have to notify your employer that even though I'm on leave, I am not well, I have been given excuse duty, and it is 3 days. So because he is aware, you've communicated it to him, after and the two of you have agreed, the 3 days you add it to your annual leave, because they are two different things. Okay. Now, when they give you the sick leave, and let's say that it is Friday, they've given you 3 days sick leave. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It means Monday you go to work. Don't say that because the sick leave is 3 days.
It fell into the weekend, madam.
Monday,
Tuesday,
Friday, Tuesday, Wednesday. No, it is 3 days. The sick leave, when you are sick, it doesn't know whether it's a working day or not.
Oh, it's not.
So you have to make sure that you go according to that.
Okay. But we don't have any specific days. It depends on what the medical officer prescribed. But you cannot say that I am sick, so I want to stay home for 7 days. I want to stay home for 1 week. You can't say that. It is based on what the medical officer is going to prescribe, isn't it?
Yes. Okay.
Madam, in the event of prolonged sickness, maybe it started for maybe 3 days off, then we go and then maybe I'm supposed to undergo a surgery or something. What processes does it come under? Do we still call it a sick leave?
And that is the work of the doctor. The doctor is going to diagnose you.
Okay.
And because of these procedures, the doctor knows that you will not be attending to work. And therefore, the doctor will give you excuse duty to cover these days.
Okay.
Most of the time, people stay in the house. That my boss knows that I am sick. And then he will not go to work for a long time. No, it should be covered by documents. So, whichever documents that the doctor will give you, you have to go and present it to the organization. The most important one is the excuse duty, excusing you from work. So even if surgery for 1 month, 2 months, it should be covered by an excuse duty.
Thank you, Ma, for your time. But Miss Julia, the excuse duty that is sometimes people go and fabricate it. Somebody his name is Ransford. He has been fabricating excuse duty a lot. When the employer gets to find out that this excuse duty or medical notes that you've brought is not genuine, it is concocted, are there any actions for it?
Let me give you a scenario.
Give it to me.
So somebody called the office to make enquiries, and according to him, he easily falls sick. So he used to go to the hospital. They'll give him excuse duty, and then it got to a point whereby his employer told the company not to give him excuse duty. So he fabricated one and then brought to the employer. So the employer made search or investigated and realized that he fabricated the excuse duty, and it led to his termination.
He's lost his work.
And that is even fraud. You understand? So it is not advisable to do that because, like I said, he lost his job, and now he wanted to lodge a complaint to be reinstated.
It should
Where
even
you've even been dishonest and then exhibited fraud. So we normally advise, no, you don't do that. I mean, because it will go against you in so many ways. So under no circumstance should you forge any document and submit claiming excuse duty. Don't do it. Don't do it at all. It will land you somewhere you don't want to be in. So yes, rather make sure you go to the hospital, get some evidence, excuse you, talk to if the doctor sees that you need to rest, and you tell the doctor he's human. He will write an excuse duty. He or she would write an excuse duty for you to rest. And sometimes you can even have that conversation with your employer. They may grant you some special form of leave under compassionate or whatever leave for you to have some time to take care of yourself, but you just don't forge documents. Don't.
Thank you. So that's all we need to know about your general conditions of employment. It's been an awesome conversation with the ladies here in the studios, and trust me, women are the best when you're having some of these conversations because they bring light to the world. This is not to too short at Totime, but sorry for not coming. But these ladies have done justice to it, and I hope that you've enjoyed the conversations in the comfort of your homes too as well. Like we've indicated earlier, it's a Labour month, so they'll be coming in periodically on the morning show and PM Ghana to have conversations on related labour issues. Last Thursday, we looked at the rights of the employer and then the employee. I've looked at the general conditions. Subsequently, we have other topics that are going to come into as well. So be part and stay afloat with the conversations that are coming in, so that you do not go and make wrong claims to your employer. Because if you go and make wrong claims and your employer is dealing with you, know that you also have rights under the labor laws, and you also have your own rights. And then as you have duties, he has his own duties too. And then your leave is entitled. You have to go for the leave. And never allow your employer take your sick leave as your annual leave. You get it? Your annual leave, you are entitled to it, and the law says that the minimum should be 15 working days. 15 working days, the law says minimum. Some organizations have enhanced ones. Don't go and say that because company A is giving 20 days, you also have to be giving 20 days. Please. Pay attention to what your terms of employment is, or your contract of employment is, and stick to it before you find yourself at the wrong side of the law. Be part of this sensitization, be part of this media engagement that the National Labour Commission is doing. And I'm very glad today we had Mrs. Veronica Kumsin, who is the Principal Industrial Relations Officer at the National Labour Commission. Thanks for coming in. And our very good friend, Miss Julia Kwawuvi, who is a Public Relations Officer Assistant at the National Labour Commission, also coming in. See you when I see you, in my regards to all the people at your office. You know, I've not seen you. I saw your new edifice recently. I know you've moved to the Ridge though.
We've been at Ridge for some time now.
I didn't know.
Really?
Oh,
I was still thinking.
2011.
I was thinking
2010.
your old office.
Asylum down.
So when I saw, I was like, so people are here now. It's a fine building. No wonder you have fine people there. All right. Thanks for coming in. I'll see you.
Pepsival, please, before we
All right, yeah.
we would like to greet our executive secretary this
Go
evening,
ahead.
Dr. Bernice Welbeck. She's the executive secretary of the National Labour Commission. We also want to greet the chairman of the commission, Justice Kobina Esumedu, retired. Yes, we want to say hello to him as well as to the management and staff of the National Labour Commission and all the staff who celebrated and are celebrating their birthdays in the month of May. We say happy birthday and happy belated birthday and happy birthday in advance.
To those that are yet to celebrate.
Yes, to those who are yet to celebrate. Yes, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Miss Julia. And then we join the birthday felicitations over there. Very big thank you goes to the team, Selassie, the producer of the show, and then to the camera crew. I see Nana, I see Kelvin, I see Mr. Blankson, and then all the rest, Asu Sound, and then MCR. I see King Josh, and then I see head of programs Lester, and then Odati too as well. Big ups to all of you, and thanks for holding for us tonight on PM Ghana. God bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation great and strong. Have a good evening and a good night.
Sueña,